Hey guys, it's M. And today I'm going to be talking about someone I unexpectedly wanted to make a video on since the last Souther video, Ougai. So now you're in either of two camps. One,
and you don't even like Souther, you don't even understand him. I thought you were gonna talk about his dad. I don't even think you know what a fucking book is, damn prick.
Or you're thinking, this man was in 4 panels. What on earth is here that you can make a video out of? To the former, you're a little naive. And to the latter, a lot, honestly. You see, my intrigue of Ougai doesn't come from what's actually in the book itself. It comes from what we can hypothesize on him from knowing Souther's story. I know certain people think I have apparently misconstrued Souther's story and don't understand him at all, just because I don't want to fuck him, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, let me do a quick summary of canon Souther and how he got to where he was. I know you've already read the book and you already know the story, but this is just to make sure, okay? Souther was an orphan. Already a pretty tragic start being left alone in the world. But then Ougai decided to take him in and then raise him as his own. He became the only person Souther loved and respected. Once he reached a certain age, probably 18 or so, Ougai pushes him into an unknowing one-on-one duel to the death, which Souther wins. Ougai then tells Souther that in their martial art, there can only be one successor, and that's why this had to happen. From that moment onward, Souther becomes the star of the Emperor. And with the already lonely nature of his star to stand on top of everyone else, combined with the fact he lost the only person that he valued, he became a monster that tried to throw away emotion completely, which led to him doing all the violent acts we see in the show and the manga. It isn't until he's seemingly for the first time ever losing a fight and about to die do those emotions come back up, seeing the hope and raw emotion Ken and the others are fighting him with. He, the strongest Nanto star, pretty much losing to the kind of feelings he's attempted to bury. And in the end, Ken ends up killing him. Not out of pure hatred like most would in this scenario, but somewhat out of compassion as he empathizes with what Souther had to suffer through, but ultimately he still had to die for what he had done. I'm sure 20 minutes after this video goes up, I'll still be told I got something blatantly and disgustingly wrong, but that's the whole of his character. Why I think Ougai is interesting is the fact that you have to acknowledge Ougai would have had to go through the same initial things Souther had to go through. Being taken under a mentor's wing and then having to kill them in a fight to the death. But unlike Souther, Ougai seemingly never became an awful, vengeful monster that did all these horrible things. The version of him we see is a calm and caring old man. And there's so fucking much there to tell a story with, I'm violently upset we never got one. I do understand Ougai didn't have to deal with the wasteland, so that probably played a part in it, but they both had the same, initial canon event, as it was inevitable for both of them. But yet, he seems like a damn near opposite of Souther. Was he able to find some way to cope with the loss of his master easily? How would a calm and collected star of the Emperor even work? Did he rule his presumed group with kindness and strength instead of simply fear? Or maybe I could have this all wrong, and Ougai became a vengeful monster in his youth too, only getting over his pain with age. But that's not all. You can then move on to smaller things that are interesting to read into. In Jaggy Gaiden, we get to see Ryuken's inner struggles with raising Jaggy. He didn't even want to get him involved with Hokuto Shinken because he knew the pain it would end up causing him in his training and if he failed to become successor. There's a sense of regret you can feel from him, the point he accepts Jaggy onwards. And the emotional scenes we get of Ryuken all stem from the choice he makes to take Jaggy in as his student. For Ougai, this must have been 80,000 times worse. In the end, we all know Jaggy became a bit of a whack job and had to be killed. But if you fail to become a student of Hokuto, you get your memories of it taken from you or you get your fist sealed. It's a bit unfortunate, but at least Jaggy in that hypothetical scenario would have simply just became Ryuken's son. It hurt to know that he had to pretty much brainwash his kid to forget a chunk of his life or just seal his fists, but in the end, he'd still have him. Ougai had to take Souther in and train him knowing that one day he'd have to kill him or Souther would take him down. Could you imagine the mental toll it would take on someone to adopt and raise a kid with that weight subconsciously hanging over you at all times? Then we get to the actual final fight itself, where Ougai practically does everything he can to soften the blow for Souther on that day, as he knew the pain and hardship that would have come with that. Some people for some reason have clowned on me for saying I love a Souther Gaiden, but those kind of moments are why I'd fucking love to have one. I'd love to see the inner monologues Ougai would have with himself as he trains his boy for a final encounter he doesn't even know they're gonna have. Maybe Ougai intentionally didn't have kids or anything like that to avoid having a successor, but upon seeing the abandoned Souther, he couldn't help but take care of him. We never see Ougai interact with anyone else, so maybe he completely isolated himself on the off chance someone did take his place just to avoid hurting those close to him. There's a genuine wealth of freedom with him writing-wise. So much so it actively hurts the most we get to extend his character is that one-off Souther story in Ichigo IG where he still gets barely anything new. To wrap this up, I'll always stand by the fact I think the Masters of HNK have the most interesting untold stories in the entire book, which I'll eventually talk about each of them them, but for right now I'm playing catch up, okay? But Ougai is the pinnacle of that, as he's the one we know the least about, at least out of the masters mentioned or shown in canon. I'll hold my hopes that one day we'll get to see more of his story, but truth be told, we'll probably get another 1,000 pachinko games before that happens. But I guess I've said my piece. What do you guys think? Is Ougai one of the most slept on characters lore-wise, or are you okay with him just being an event in Souther's past? As always, I'm glad to discuss with you in the comments as long as you're respectful, and I've been in, and I am out.